Hello, this is a video on our drain system. So here's the history of this. We purchased this house in 2009 and it's now 2024. So for the past 15 years we've always had a slow drain problem in our kitchen, in our dish, in our clothes washing. They connect, and there's going to be a picture of that in a little bit in the video. But it's cast iron drain, about 2-inch. How did we know this? We sent a camera down our clean out, sent a camera down there, and we could see the constrictions, which will be in previous videos and this one too. Well, first of all, there's no vent on the washer drain, which should have been done. So we got estimates from plumbers to bust the concrete slab to add a drain or to replace it all. So this whole time we have had very frequent backups. In the last 2 years especially, it would overflow and it would get on the floor, go into the drywall, creep into the down the wall, into the carpet, into the adjacent living room, and it's just been a big pain. And you could see in the video later we had some water alarms right there by where it would bubble out at the washer box where the drain hose sticks in. So we'd have that alarm go off so we could hear it. And then we would pretty much never really run the washer when we weren't here, which is a good idea anyway, but in the modern conveniences it was just a kind of a pain when we're working to have to wait to do laundry then. First world problems obviously, but we didn't want to have a problem draining when we left the house. Also, the new high efficiency washers have a very fast output. It dumps water really quickly. So we would never run the large capacity loads. We would just do a couple of smaller loads instead of a one large load. So since we've done this process, the past week or two, we've run the high capacity several times and never heard the glugging that we used to hear before. You know, when the water comes up the tube, you would hear that. We've not heard that since we've been using these tools from plumbertools.com. So it's been awesome. Okay, number 2, we did get a plumber estimate to come out. We live in Canadian Texas, which is 100 miles from Amarillo. So the local plumbers had no interest in coming to look at this. So we called Amarillo, Pampa and Amarillo, and they came out. They gave us an estimate. We paid for them to drive their truck out here and look at it. And what they recommended was to either bust out the concrete, or they have an excavation method where they go underneath the house with a water jet, and then they hire some really small guy, skinny guy, to go underneath there, and they were going to take out our 2-inch cast iron drains and bust out in a hole and put in probably 4-inch PVC, which probably would have been okay, but the estimate was for $50,000. So we said, So I went on YouTube and I found the plumbertools.com and we ordered some stuff. Jerome was very helpful. I emailed him, and we eventually did some voice calls just so I could verify that this is the right stuff for us. And since I've used the tools in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think March 20th, March 30th, and then now April 13th, you can see in the video the constriction that was supposed to be a round pipe, but the constriction made it be more like a rectangle than a circle. So we've used the Croco mold to open that up, which you'll see in the video number 3 and hopefully in this video as well. So we are very pleased with that. Thank you very much, Jerome and plumbertools.com. So if anyone else has similar problems, that's why I'm making this video. So first of all, to remind myself in a couple of years with my forgetfulness, I'll remember what we did and how it worked. So good reminder for me. But thank you. Here's the rest of the video. Okay, this is part 4 in our video series of us cleaning out our drains. Here's a diagram of our drains. Our kitchen sink and our washing machine meet somewhere about 19 feet, comes out 42 feet to the main 4-inch PVC line that goes out of our backyard. So we had constrictions here at 17. It turns here where it meets the washer drain. There is no vent on this drain. So I guess it's venting through the pipe up here, because here is the sink. Okay, there's the clean out, there's the drain. And then if you go above, there's a window. To the left of the window outside is where our vent pipe is. So that's the situation here. I'm going to open that drain. It's a 2-inch cast iron pipe, and we're going to use the plumbertools.com flexible shaft with a Croco mold head on it to increase the size of our drains, because I think there were some constrictions. Part 3 of the video shows that. So here's our kitchen sink. It comes along here and it meets somewhere in here from our washing machine. And I looked up in the attic and the roof, there is no drain there. So you can see we have these water alarms, because this would back up all the time, once or twice a year. So we put those in there, and you can see that I've cut out that drywall so many times and patched it. I'm like, I'm just going to leave a little door there, because we always had to dry it out, clean it out. It was a pain. So this goes out the bathrooms and out the back door. There's a clean out there that we're going to go look at later. So how are we going to do this? We have the flexible shaft. This is the 8mm or 5/16. And here's the tips we used. We first used the mini mole, then the 30mm diameter, and then we just recently bought the 40mm diameter. See, this has been wetted with blood, so you can see there's some use on there. This one will be wetted with blood today. And when I saw the videos from plumbertools.com, they put a little compression spring on there, so I bought some 1/2-inch compression springs. 1/2 inch is 12mm for the Europeans. And then I also bought these chains, so a little mini chain, a little bigger chain, and then a little bit bigger chain. So in our 2-inch drains, we will first keep that far apart and go brrr, let it chew up that drain, and then we'll flatten it out possibly, and maybe possibly get some footage of that happening. We'll see. Here's the flexible shaft. Mine is a 15-meter or 45-foot tool. So I did not roll it up, because we did it a couple weeks ago. I just hang it on hook right here. And part of the tools we were using is this pressure washer that hooks up to this hose, and it's got a tip on there that hopefully clears out some stuff. I've seen several videos of plumbers using these pressure washer tools, and they did clean it out. So that's going to be, we're going to use that tool to grind it. And then I've also got a little water hose that we're going to run water while the Croco mold is running. Hopefully kind of makes it kind of lubed up for the tool. So we'll be getting that done shortly, and hopefully have some footage before and after, and maybe during. So in a moment, I will be opening this drain and starting the process.
You're one of the guys making less than 100,000.
Okay, here we're recording. The last hour we tried the 40mm Croco mold. It didn't work the first time. There's a turn at about 10 feet. So then we put the 30mm Croco mold back on and ran it all the way down to 40 feet right before it pops out into the PVC. We did that for about 15-20 minutes, just back and forth and smoothing out some of those constrictions. So we're going to try this 40 again, but we're going to take some footage before we do that. Okay, now before I do this, I think going up is my drain. I don't know if I can go up or not. I don't think it's going to make that turn. Gravity likes it to go down, not up. So anyway, I don't think I can, but maybe later.
Still running.
There's our water. Okay. So the good thing about the water, we can see that it's at the bottom. So we can tell the bottom of the pipe now with gravity and the water going through it. So I think here's where that big 40 millimeter Croco mold right here, this turn, coming up soon. So it's right here. It starts to turn. Right here, turns, and it just can't make this elbow. It's probably a 45, and it's just ginking. So we're going to try this again. There we go. Okay. So now we're going. Back in. Turn it off, and I'll pull it back. Try. Dry. I'll read. Back in. Turn it off, and I'll pull it back. Try. Dry. I'll read.
Well, you know exactly what we're going to deal with.
Way more. Less constrictions.
Well, even actually, every time we run it down there, the better it's going to be. If it cuts on the side, as well as that. There it is. Probably digging in. You can try it. I'm not sure it'll make a difference.
That's okay.
A few moments later, well, it's been 2 hours, and we've done several things. The first thing we did is we tried to use this 40 millimeter Croco mole head, and then at 10 feet there was a turn. It was a little iffy. It's like we couldn't get it. So we went back to the 30, and it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And we hit constrictions at 17, the turn at 20, and then constrictions at 22, 25, 30, 30. So until 40. So we went all the way to 40 feet, right out almost to the PVC line. So we tried this one. You could see where it ate into the side of the pipe, trying to make this turn. I think part of it's just the depth. It's the width and the depth, the 3D. So this thing made it. This thing could turn. This thing couldn't turn. So then we tried this chain, which I think it did some good, but it was binding in those weird valley constrictions. First we tried this one. But then it kinked, and we had to cut the tip off. So we had to take a break, disassemble it, and then I used my angle grinder to cut off that and buff it up to make it smooth again to put the stuff on. So then we said, well, okay, I wanted one more thing. So I put this nylon brush with the little collars around it, and I put the sleeve collar on it to keep it from bucking back and forth. So we put this down. This one, it kind of rode that way, and I think if you look at this diameter, it's about the same, but this thing has some give. It can squish by and pass those up pretty easily. It's a bigger diameter, but it also compresses, and it can make those turns easier. And we sent this all the way down, all the way to the 40 feet and all the way back, and it was nice and gooey, so it was chewing up some stuff. So the next thing I want to do is take the camera down. Use that camera. We had the collar on it and then the collar off of it, so we'll put the collar back on, do some footage, and see if we did any good. So again, we tried the 40, didn't work. Went to 30, it worked. We went back and forth, back and forth. Then I said, I'm going to try the 40 again, and we just couldn't. It bound, and it couldn't make that turn. It was just something in the curve of that pipe at 10 feet. So we loved this one, a good try, and then we ran this down, hopefully to eat some of that corrosion away. So I'll look at the other camera. Okay, the day is done, and cleaned up my tools. And just one little thing, I put a little oil, for us, WD-40, just a little light oil, and worked all the screws back in. And I'll put that, first of all, I cleaned them, then I dried them, and then that's what I just did, is make sure all the screws got in and out with the little oil to keep them from freezing at later dates. So I will store them in my container, which is on the other side. I won't video it, but I just wanted to make sure I cleaned that. So it's a good tool. The chains kind of, when we did them, they kind of bound and the sleeve froze, the coil, and it kind of messed up the end of it. I had to cut it off with a angle grinder and then reshape it. But this thing was good. We didn't get this one to go through this time, but we're going to try it again, and I'll just give it another shot. But it's a great tool. I will tell more in the video later, but when we first said, hey, there's problems here, 15 years ago, I looked through my house. I kind of keep records of my house, and for the past 15 years, we bought the house in 2009, and now it's April of 2024. That's 15 years. We snaked it at least 20 or more times. I might have not recorded one or two. We hired plumbers, and then finally we just bought a snake ourselves. Or my father-in-law bought me one, and I used it all the time. So I hope this tool, I'll take a record of this, and I will see when we get a slow drain or a backed up drain. Hopefully not for a year. Thanks.